Hi, Leanne, Steve, Matt. Leanne, Steve, welcome back from vacation. Hope you had a nice, relaxing trip abroad. Wanted to send forward this video proposal with Balance Consulting because after our discussions, I'm 100% certain we can help you create a more controlled, consistent, and productive operations and achieve operational excellence at RX Compass. So you're probably asking, first question, why am I getting a video proposal? We simply put, we just found to be a much more effective, efficient, engaging, and a convenient way to present a proposal. And we're always looking for ways to use tech in innovative ways over here. That said, I'm gonna try to keep this proposal short and pointed so as to give you an idea of how Valus can help you. So let's get started. So just a quick recap on RX Compass. 5 different programs. Focuses on enrolling members in financial assistance programs. It's eerily similar to what I was doing at CVS, except for the fact that we were enrolling them in clinical programs versus financial programs. Nevertheless, the mechanics of what needs to be done to engage and enroll those members, very familiar to me. So the good news is I won't need to spend any time trying to conceptualize and understand the overall business. Now, I was listening intently during the interviews, and with some of the comments given, there's certainly an excess of work, right? A lack of transparency, and a question as to whether the processes are yielding the right outcome. And so to achieve stability in both your workload, improve your visibility into what's happening within the operations, and to shore up your processes, I recommend we start with building out your operational informatics centered specifically towards capacity. If you remember in our conversation, I mentioned 3 operational environments. You've got the sweatshop, you've got the KOA campground, and you've got the Quan. Quan is the perfect day. The first 2 environments, they're characterized by higher cost, lower productivity, lower quality, and most importantly, a high dissatisfaction with employees. That leads to losing employees and spending a lot of time, energy, and effort on bringing in new folks. If we can create the Quan for you, then operational will find its right balance between the 2 environments. And what you're going to see in that operations is a steady workflow state that yields the lower cost, higher productivity, higher quality, and most importantly, higher employee satisfaction that all companies strive for. And if we can get you that higher employee satisfaction, obviously that leads to lower attrition, and you to retain your folks that you've spent all that time, energy, and effort developing into their respective roles. But to get you to the Quan, you've got to be able to understand and manage your capacity. To be able to manage your capacity and iron out the rough operational edges, I have the exact solution for RX Compass. So our first step at RX Compass is to build you an OOM. An OOM stands for an operational optimization model. Now what is it? It's essentially a quantitative model that combines 3 of the most important disciplines of operational management: resource management, process management, and time management. That is the essence of capacity management. It allows you to answer a ton of questions all at the same time. Questions such as, how many people do I need to get this work complete? Are our processes rightly sequenced to allow for consistency of workflow? Do we have any bottlenecks that are causing delays in our services, et cetera, et cetera? Most importantly, what it does is it sets the stage to have data-driven operations. There's no more guessing on things like headcount or having someone come into your office with the never-ending, we are so busy, we need more people. Having led operations, I can tell you that headcount is often the single most questioned variable in operations, and making sure that you have the right number of people in the right place at the right time is the single most important thing you can pinpoint in order to achieve operational excellence. And I've seen almost all departments essentially guess at their headcount needs. Some folks, most often what they do is they will tie a headcount number to a member count or something along those lines. Or I've seen situations where Really, they just are waiting until somebody comes and screams that says we need more people, and they had more people. But adding more people doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to fix your problems. And in 99.9% of the time, adding more people actually just continues to cause problems. So an OOM helps rid the ambiguity. It allows leadership to nail their resource needs to an exact science. With an OOM, there will never ever be a leader or manager walk into your office without quantitative proof of the needed resources to get the job done. So it's super important to have something like this at the center of operations. It gives your leadership and your management team the information it needs to manage its capacity. So the next question is how do we build an OOM? Essentially, we'd be taking a look at three components of RX Compass's operations. We're going to take a deep look at your volume, your processes, and the time it takes to perform work functions. In terms of your volume, we're going to want to look at member volumes, call volumes, both inbound and outbound, fax volumes, enrollment volumes, any volume that triggers work to be done within your primary work streams. Second is we want to do an overview of your processes. We want to ensure that the processes at RX Compass are sound, that they're aligned, that they're sequential appropriately, things that make work flow through the system with the greatest efficiency and effectiveness. And then third, we want to know the time that it takes to manage those work steps. So we conduct some time studies, and we've got three methods by which we've accomplished this. Ideally, we'd like to capture this from the back end of an OS, but likely we're going to have to spend some time with folks either shadowing or simply asking. Again, the good news is since I've got 25 years of experience of doing this, a lot of the time studies will go fairly quickly because I know how long it takes to typically enroll people in programs. I know how long it takes to talk on the phone and process things like faxes and whatnot. So we'd look to really take a deep dive into all three of those components. The good news is out of this exercise, as we're building this OOM, not only are you going to get a granular understanding of your capacity needs and the ability to level set your workflow or your workload, you're also going to get a deep understanding of the drivers of that work, how that work is being conducted, and the time requirements it takes to get things done. And what's really exciting about that is, again, now you've established some baselines that will help you identify future improvement efforts and give you the most bang for the buck. So, for instance, I talked a little bit about some of the work I did for PA submissions, how it used to take us for a PA, 16 to 17 minutes on average to submit a PA. Well, that was identified out of a capacity model that I had done that showed that we were spending an awful lot of time, energy, and effort managing PAs. And if we were to focus a little bit of our time, energy, and effort on improving that turnaround time and managing that PA, that we would save ourselves a lot of time, energy, and effort in the overall operations and improve our turnaround time. So OOM, we want to build you guys an OOM. And imagine that we've got this OOM complete. You can do a lot of things with it, right? You can level set your resources, smooth out your operations. You're going to have a better understanding of the primary processes by which work is conducted. You're going to have a deeper understanding into your drivers of work. You're able to have a clear view of the time commitments it takes, maybe identify some bottlenecks or other opportunities in terms of turnaround times. You're also going to be able to identify areas of performance improvement. There's more. With an OOM in place, you can now be proactive in operations in terms of your planning, and instead of looking in a rear view mirror, which I hate to say it, more often than not is how most operations are managed. So with that, now that you're able to plan, you can also analyze. And that's what we plan to do. As part of this exercise, we plan to give you guys an overall operational assessment, as well as a recommended roadmap for continual operational improvement. And that's all going to spring from this OOM. So let me recap real quickly again what this gives you. One, it gives you the ability to level set your resources based on current processes and technology. Two, you get a deeper understanding of processes required to get the work done. Three, you get to understand the drivers of the volume of work. Four, you get time requirements of various work functions. Five, you get the ability to plan forward and be proactive. Six, we're going to give you guys an operational assessment with a stepwise roadmap for continual operational improvement. Now, my overall intent is to build a strong, trusting relationship built on proven results with RX Compass. I'm 100% positive you're going to get a ton of value out of doing this. I've done this a number of times. I know the route. Most importantly, I know the outcomes. For instance, at Magellan, when I took lead at their distribution center and started down this route, when we reached the end, we actually needed to RIF about a third of our staff. We were that far overcapacitated. Now, I'll tell you, I don't like RIFs, but in order to build a center of excellence and create a great work environment, it was a necessary thing to do. And it's the same thing at CVS. We went down this route. We were able to shrink our cost of service to revenue ratio from 98% down to 83%, and it saved the company about $12 million a year. I can't say that you're going to get these same financial results or you're going to need to do any kind of a RIF. I don't know. The model will tell us all of that. What I can tell you, and I promise you, is it's going to be a tremendous positive impact to your service levels, the quality, your costs, your employee satisfaction, and it's going to build for you what you want is a data-driven center for your operations. So that's where we want to start. We want to start by coming in and doing some capacity modeling for you guys, as well as an operational assessment. Our consulting services are billed at $150 per hour. We think that we can allocate about 15 to 20 hours per week. And then we have a timeline of about 3 to 4 months, and that depends on a couple of things. We could talk about that further. In addition, I want to bring on a partner to help me with this. A gentleman by the name of Wayne Coolidge. Would love to introduce you to him. He's actually a mechanical engineer by trade. He's spent the last 20 plus years in the energy sector, doing a lot of financial engineering. So very, very smart guy, and a lot of his skill set would come in handy, especially if we continue to have a prolonged relationship with you guys. And my hope is that we'll continue to have a positive relationship, because I think there's a lot more things, positive things that we can do that will enhance RX Compass's business performance. For instance, we're experts at process engineering. I'm a Six Sigma black belt, so I'm very good at root cause analysis as well as Lean Six Sigma. So we've got some processes that need to be cleaned up or swept away, re-engineered. I'm certainly up for the task. And then my hope is that we get into maybe some technology discussions. I'd love to do what I've done for a few other companies, which I call as a digital sweep, and that's just taking a look, going through a lot of your processes, trying to figure out ways to automate a lot of those so that there's no delays and or variation caused by people when they try to do things. There's a lot of really interesting tools that's come out in just the last couple of years. There's like Power Automate, and then there's RPA, which is robotic process automation. And these things are really, really powerful. In fact, I can already think of a couple of uses in terms of enrollment where I think we could probably wind up automating a lot of those efforts and really cutting out, the manual interventions that typically take place. Um, and there's more, but I'm going to go ahead and I digress for now. Lastly, what I want to do is I just want to thank you for your time. I appreciate going through the interview process. It was very nice to meet you guys. I'm hoping you found a great leader for RX Compass. I'm certain that he or she is going to have a lot on their plate on day one. My hope is that we at Valis can help by coming in. We can forego that time that's typically spent for a leader onboarding, building the relationships, a lot of issues, and just getting up to speed on things. And we can jump right into building RX Compass, this data-driven operational center that will essentially transform the business for the positive, in the positive. So once again, thank you for your time. Let us know. Look forward to hearing from you. And you guys have a blessed day.